Padre Gabriel Amorth. En la noche del 4 de junio, realizó usted un exorcismo.
Eso no fue un exorcismo.
Hi, Russell. I'm Carlos from
Hi,
Cartelera,
Carlos. How you
Spain.
doing?
How are you?
Pretty good.
Okay. Well, congratulations on the film. I think you do a marvelous job fighting the devil. But reading about Gabriel Amorth, I realized the impressive number of cases he handled over so many years. So, what was it like for you to approach a character with so much documentation? I mean, the more information there is about a character, the more difficult it is to play him, or just the opposite?
Well, I mean, that's an interesting question because it is a two-edged sword, because there is sometimes when you don't have enough source material, you end up having to make a lot of assumptions. And but in a case like this, where you have so much, but you also have the desire of the studio to make a movie that's a piece of entertainment, so we're not delving into things in a factual documentarian type of way, But I think we've managed to get into the movie a lot of the different aspects of Amorth's personality, and some kind of insight into the type of job he was doing, with quite a bit of poetic license added on top of that as well.
Mm-hmm. And on the other side, of course, Gabriel was a light in the dark for thousands of people. And also, he was a very important priest in church history. So, did you feel any pressure playing him?
I certainly wanted to honor him. I found that, everything that I read about him and the material of his that I read, things that he'd written, I thought he was really worthy of my focus and attention. He was a pretty spectacular fellow, and he lived a very, very interesting life, He did a lot of things before he became a priest, and then, spent a large part of his life, 30 years or something, working in radio and producing television and writing articles as a journalist with the Paulists, and, the time he's the chief exorcist of the Vatican is the last 36 years or something of his life. So incredibly rich life, full of experiences. So I definitely wanted to honor that. My readings brought me to understand him in two ways. The first way is the purity of his faith. It was just unquestionable, and all of his friends that I met and people that he worked with that I met, that was something that they all said, and it's quite clear in his writings as well. But the other side of that too was, and they kept emphasizing this, is you got to understand that Gabriele had a really good sense of humor, and if you think about what he did for a job and how much of his time he spends with afflicted people and bringing, as you say, the light to people, that sense of humor must have been very helpful to him.
Oh, that's good. And well, my last question is about your work recently, because you don't stop. We have seen you in Poker Face, we have seen you here, also in Marvel Studios. So how do you feel about that? How do you handle this amount of work? Because it's also very diverse. There are a lot of genres.
Well, it's the thing is, I love my job, and so if somebody gives me something interesting to do, then I'm more than likely going to do it, And the last, 3 or 4 years, there's been a lot of extremely fun things to be engaged with. So I've been enjoying myself quite a lot. This is the only hard bit, The stuff on set and playing the character and stuff, that's easy. The only time I feel like I'm really going to work is when I have to talk to journalists. Don't be offended by that, it's just the way it is.
La mayoría de los casos no requieren un exorcismo.
El 98% de los que se le asignan son por recomendación de médicos y psiquiatras.
El otro 2%, yo lo llamo El mal.
Tenemos...